UC's Center for Business Analytics, housed within the Lindner College of Business, empowers local and global organizations with the cutting-edge analytics capabilities they need to become best in class in their industry. On this episode of Bearcats Mean Business, Center for Business Analytics Executive Director Tim Cholvat is joined by Jeff Shaffer, an assistant professor educator in Lindner's Department of Operations, Business Analytics, and Information Systems, to engage in a slew of topics, including October's Data Science Symposium, ways for students to engage with the Center for Business Analytics, and why professionals should consider generative AI in business training. Without further ado, here are Tim Cholvat and Jeff Shaffer.
Thank you, Grant. It's a great pleasure to be here today. As Grant mentioned, I'm Tim Cholvat. I'm the Executive Director of the UC Center for Business Analytics, joined today by Jeff Shaffer. Jeff is an assistant professor at the University of Cincinnati in the Carl H. Lindner College of Business. Hello, Jeff, and welcome to the podcast.
Great to be here. Thank you.
Jeff, why don't you start off by telling us a bit about yourself?
Sure. I've been teaching at Lindner for about 13 years, I guess. I started as adjunct faculty, and a few years ago I joined full-time faculty teaching in the business analytics department. Prior to that, I was in the financial services industry, ran a fintech, was the chief operating officer, and then before that, 10 years running IT and analytics and data science.
Good. Thank you, Jeff. I wanted to start off with an introduction to the Center of Business Analytics. There might be a number of people in our audience who don't know who we're about. So we've been around for 12 years, and it was initiated by a couple of professors here within the Lindner College of Business. We have three stakeholders. One is the external groups, and those are the companies and members that we work with within the region. Then we have two stakeholders within the university. One, of course, is the students, and the other is the faculty and staff. Our mission is to connect, teach, learn about, and promote the application of business analytics and AI through a community of industry and academic experts. We do that through a number of offerings and engagement across those three stakeholders that I mentioned. We do leadership forums on a monthly basis where we bring in experts either from the University of Cincinnati or externally and present to the members within our community. The second offering that we have is around technical training. I'll get into this a bit later on, but our technical training are 2-day courses and they're instructor-led, and we'll dive into some of the areas that we have topics that we cover in those ones. Third offering that we run a couple of large conferences every year, and we have about 300 people at each of those conferences, and one is coming up in October, which I indicated with Jeff, who's going to be at our conference, and we'll talk about that and a couple of the keynotes that we're going to have in that conference. And then finally, one of the most exciting offerings we have is projects throughout the year with our members that are student-led and faculty advised. So we run about 20 to 25 student-led projects throughout the year, and our members engage with that, and they get value from working with the students and from the output from those projects. Jeff, you've been involved in the center activities for a long time. Can you tell us about some of your experiences that you've had with the center?
Yeah, that was a great summary. I've been involved in all of those in some form or fashion. The training, of course, from the beginning, done Tableau training, data visualization and storytelling training, and also generative AI more recently. The case studies class has also been interesting because we have student-led projects, usually with a faculty sponsor, and so I've been fortunate enough to be on some of those projects as well with the students and see their work, and that's been exciting to see. When I was at the fintech, we actually had a project for a number of years, and so we had a couple teams come in and had the projects kick off at that company. So yeah, that's been exciting. And then always fun, the analytics symposium and the data science symposium always attracts great speakers, so I always enjoy that.
been interesting as the center has evolved over those past 12 years as to where we are, but what we're always watching is where the market's flowing. And that's either from the needs of our members and their need to be able to hire and be able to move their business ahead, and what we can do to act as a catalyst for that. And on the other side, with our students, what's the primary need for a student? Probably get a job as they come out. So that's been a really good match. But one of the items I wanted to talk about that's coming up in the next 6 weeks is going to be our Data Science Symposium for 2024. And that's our fall conference. And it's being held on October 11th at the Lindner College of Business. And it's going to kick off at 8:30, and we're going to go through till about 2 in the afternoon. It's designed for corporate analytics leaders and practitioners, plus faculty, plus students who are eager to enhance their data science capabilities and learn about industry trends. We have a lineup of expert speakers and thought leaders who are going to share their insights and experiences in the field of data science. We have people who are going to talk about how they're applying analytics and AI into some large businesses such as Fifth Third. And we're going to have some faculty who are going to talk about some of the methods that they're researching and what they see coming up in the future as they look at being on the forefront of research in data science. The other reason that we hold these is the networking side of it. Just like all conferences, there's components of networking. And when I talked about those 3 stakeholders, this is a melting pot where we try to bring those groups together. And the members looking to the students as to who might be a good hire, and the faculty. We often have connections with that, and I'll talk about that later on about how the faculty is now, we're trying to get more engagement with the members. Jeff, you'll be one of the keynotes at the conference. Why don't you tell us a bit about your talk?
Yeah, well, not surprisingly, the talk is going to be on AI, right? That's what everybody's talking about. And I got the idea of working with AI, generative AI specifically, a few years back when it was getting popular. I've been doing AI for 10 years plus, but it really, the power of the generative AI aspect coming into the market really started to get me thinking about the future of what that would be and what we could do with that. And it's super powerful. And what's interesting, I think, is that the market is moving really, really fast. Technology always moves fast, but when you talk about technology speed, it's, year over year, the new iPhone or the new program or the new operating system. But with AI, the past few years, it's been moving so fast that tools come out every day. You have to be on it every week. And so thinking about, okay, everything's changing so fast, what's the future going to look like with that? And so that's really the focus of the talk, is where's that going to head? What does that technology mean for our workplace? What's the future of work? What does that technology mean for our roles and our jobs? For an average non-technical worker, you can skill up on generative AI tools and make you more productive. But if you're a technical worker, and maybe a programmer, it might make you more productive as a programmer. So thinking about all the aspects of where generative AI hits, it's just really interesting to me. It's not just going to be the technical tool for technical folks. It's going to hit everybody.
Oh, the evolution of AI is incredible, and that's a pretty well-known statement, right? But the tentacles of it, which is really what I don't know where it's not going to hit, right? Everything from the components of of what our students are going to be seeing as they go out there, and our faculty as they research, but where the impact is not only from the technical build side, but also in the market around how that's affecting the rest of the organizations?
Yeah, I won't give away my whole talk, but part of it is it's going to be in our workflow. So it's going to be in our tools like Excel and PowerPoint and Tableau and Power BI. It's just going to be integrated with the things we work every day. It's going to be integrated into our devices, where we already see cell phones with AI chips. We already see laptops coming out with AI chips, and so you'll be AI friendly on your Windows device or your Android device. And then you have all the productivity tools that are just going to happen, where now I can get an instant summary and notes taking from my meeting. I was in a meeting for 2 hours the other day, and I turned on this little recording device. Well, in the previous days, that would just be a sound, right? And I'd have to listen to it and take my notes. Now I can just put that in and instantly get my 2-page summary with bullet points. And so it's my note taker, it's my planner. And then I know Reagan's going to talk in her keynote about agentic workflow and the future of agents, but that's even more mind-blowing, that I'm going to have computer agents working for me 24/7. I can have them schedule my meetings and schedule my airplane and schedule my hotel and things like that.
Well, not only that, but from something, let's choose an industry, manufacturing, with autonomous agents, right? And being able to make decisions not only in a small component of that, but looking at the end to end. And those autonomous agents being able to reason, be able to predict, and be able to adjust. And how does that come into it? And you can probably go through all the different industries with healthcare and financial industry and all those other elements that are especially with the agents as they come through and they're able to possibly reason and augment what we're doing, and it can be a bit scary for some people.
That's the latest. OpenAI was just in the news and in front of regulators because of the reasoning model. So yeah, it's coming.
Yep,
it's coming quick.
Indeed. You mentioned Reagan. Reagan Bliley is going to be our other keynote at the Data Science Symposium, and we are specifically bookending our symposium with Reagan opening and with Jeff closing with the keynotes. Reagan is co-founder and CEO of Align AI, and it's an AI adoption and governance platform that helps companies integrate AI into what their workplace is. She's also the founder of Women in Analytics, and they run a Data Connect conference up in Columbus, Ohio, every year, and they get about 1,000, 1,200 people up there. Whereas Jeff is going to talk about the future of AI, Reagan's going to open the conference by talking about how we got here. What she's going to do is look at the last 10 years of support for machine learning and what's happened as it's evolved over those 10 years. As we shift towards AI, there's technical differences with AI, be it in the architecture, the security, risk management, data differences, and agent architecture that we just talked about. So we'll look at having Reagan on for another podcast, and she can go into a bit more detail. But it's going to be an interesting bookends for the conference.
I'm a big fan of Reagan. I was at the inaugural conference for the Women in Data Analytics. It's a fantastic conference up in Columbus, and she's a great speaker. So if you've not heard her speak, she's really good. She's got a great background. So I can't say enough good things about that. Definitely catch that talk.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting as we sandwich that between the speakers that we have as well. We're going to have 5 breakout sessions, two periods in there, so 10 speakers, and they're going to be talking about the current of AI. So it's as I said earlier, it's going to be everything from industry to faculty. So it's going to be really interesting to go through with this. You can register at the UC Center for Business Analytics website. You can do that by going to the Lindner College of Business website. Going to the About tab, and then you will find the Center of Business for Business Analytics under that, and under the events page you can get down to the Data Science Symposium. We're limited on the attendance at this symposium because of the main lecture hall we're going to be doing, and it has a 250 person limit. So we're going to cut off the attendance at 250 people. Right now, it's $195 to sign up before September 10th, and after that, it'll be $295. So it's going to be about 75% of the people there will be industry, and about 25% will be students and faculty. Now, I mentioned before about that whole student engagement side, and this being a great opportunity for the students to be able to network and to be able to learn a little bit from the members. That's something we're extremely proud of within the Center for Business Analytics, and one of our reasons for being. Interesting statistic is the center members, of which we have about 24 right now, 23, 24, hired 30% of our business analytics graduating class over the last 2 years. And so you can see the pipeline there, and the engagement is really working. We play a pivotal role, or we like to think we play a pivotal role, in connecting our partners and employees to our employers through the co-op and full-time positions. And we do that through a couple of ways. One, I mentioned it with projects. We run projects that go through a semester, and it really gives a chance for the members and the students that are involved in the projects to be able to feel each other out and understand what they're about, what the students are about. Students get experiential learning of that, and they gain practical experience. Second way we do that is through networking sessions. Just last week, we had a networking session between about 70 students that we have and about 10 to 15 of our members. And they spent a couple of hours just getting to know each other. And when we look at the year, our members start hiring our students as early as October of this year for graduating next year. So it's really important that we build those bridges right now going into it. And the final part of it is an interesting initiative that we're going to be looking at possibly doing next year, and that's going to be launching case competition. And the case competition would be including students and teams and working with members, and once again that interaction. Jeff, can you tell us a bit about how you construct your courses as you go through, which is another component that we mentioned as an offering that we have within the center, and because you mentioned you do a number of courses for us.
Yeah, so I teach at the university, the students that you just mentioned, and talking about their skill set coming out. At the university, I teach data visualization, I teach descriptive analytics and data viz. I have a data viz 2 class, a new Gen AI class. For the center, that is training for the public, the general public. Anybody can come do that, or private training for companies. But a lot of it is the same training that I would give my students in the classroom. So it comes from my course, obviously not as long. I have full semester courses on data viz, but we distill that down to a 1-day, 2-day course so that people from all over the world, especially now that we can teach those remotely, from all over the world can take those classes that our students can take. And so we feel like we're training those students, as Tim talked about, to come out. You get to try them before you hire them, but you get to see the skill set that they have. In sitting in my class, for example, they'll be maybe not experts, but they'll be really, really good at tools like Tableau or Power BI or SQL or data mining or data science tools, Python and R and things like that. They learn those in those classes. We do the same exact thing for corporate training and public training. We just do it in a more condensed way for a 1- and 2-day training.
Yeah, those training classes. It's a great way for people to be retain their skills or upskill, and we touch on both, as you said, public and private training classes. And organizations will come to us and say, geez, we want to upskill our people in Power BI. and we'll run that, or with the new Gen AI course. So with the new Gen AI course in business training, why don't you get a little bit into more details of what you cover in that course?
Yeah, that training was really for the general public, not a technical audience, not a coding, not anything about specifically coding, but just day-to-day understanding how generative AI can affect your workflow, productivity tools we talk about, really understanding what they're good at, what they're not good at, because there's a lot of hype out there about AI, right, where it's going to take over the world, but the tools aren't very good at certain tasks. And so really kind of understanding what is that task and what is it good at. We have to be a little bit careful with generative AI. The analogy that always gets used is, you have a hammer, and so every problem is a nail. In this case, my generative AI analogy is you now have a really fast, powerful nail gun, and so you're just shooting nails into everything. And if you have a nail problem, it's a great tool, but if you have to do something else like paint a wall, it's not. So same thing applies, and that's really what the class is, to understand more in depth what the tools are good at, what tools are available, how to use them. Very the hot topic about your data, especially if you're a company, or imagine we're here at the university or a hospital. Where's your data go, and who has that data, and what's being used in that data? So if you're using these generative AI tools, you got to be careful about that. Who has your document? Are you putting your document on a website that is using generative AI, or is that something internal and has the appropriate guardrails? And then the final topic we talk a little bit about, and this is where my talk, the future is the Wild West. We don't really know. Legislation is way behind on this. The ethics and the governance of these systems. The systems, again, are moving so fast with a new tool coming out every day, or a new model, and it's just going to keep at that pace, at least in the coming years. And we struggle, right, as to, okay, how do we control it? How do we put the appropriate guardrails on there? One of the examples I always use, good or bad, in the generative AI class is, I always go to a tool, any tool that's out there, and I always check, can I break the guardrails down? And, you can ask, a terrible question like, how to build a bomb or something, right? You would expect that these tools would have the appropriate guardrails on them to be able to handle a question like that. And that's an easy one. Okay, we can guard against that. But as we get into more creative questions that could be nefarious or not ethical, or things like that, especially in our business, we have to be really careful about that. So in essence, that's the summary of what the class covers, sort of what the tools are, how do they work, how do you implement them, how do you govern them if you can, and talk a little bit about the future.
It was interesting. When I walked into your office about an hour ago, and as we were just talking before we came onto this podcast, and you said, "Geez, I'm running an LLM on my desktop here, and I'm trying to get this some things printed out as well." Can you imagine saying that 2 years ago? It's or even a year and a half ago, right?
Well, the joke was I had a local LLM running on my laptop doing a pretty complex task of it's a project for one of the professors here and some medical records, but and I was just trying to print a piece of paper, and I couldn't get the piece of paper to print, but I can run an LLM model, and so yeah, it's bizarre, some of the tools that we have available to us.
Well, even the tools, and to say they're more advanced, but they're never going to get they're always going to get better than they are today. They're never going to go back. So it's interesting with that whole, I talked about upskilling and being able to look at where a professional's career point is right now with their skill set. It's extremely important for all these professionals out there that are especially possibly in the analytics area to be able to upskill. If you look at just the job prospects over the next 8 years, growing at about 20% a year across generative AI. And a lot of those will be in natural language processing, and machine learning, computer vision, as they go through, and that's really reflecting a a growth in the whole Gen AI market. And estimate I saw the other day was over the next 10 years, we're going to be looking at going from about $150 billion to a 1.3 trillion dollar growth over the next 8 years. And that represents about a 40% compound growth every year. And it's just if the students, or I should say, if the professionals are not upskilling and going out to classes like yours, I think it's going to be they're going to regret it over the longer term. But not only we don't inside the center, we don't only do courses like the Gen AI course, but we also do technical training. You mentioned Tableau, Power BI. Power BI is probably our most sought after course right now as they grow. We do applied training in visualization, storytelling, and then we do training for executives and professionals who want to improve their knowledge of analytics as customers. That next class, when's that next Gen AI class?
October 30th.
Okay. And people can register by going to the Center for Business Analytics website.
That's correct.
Yep.
Yeah. And as you talk about upskilling, I mean, we'll plug our programs here, but you have a buffet available right here in Cincinnati, right? If you want to go all in, come back, maybe get your master's degree in business analytics. If that's something you want to do full time, you can knock that out in about a year. If that's too much, take it part time and take some classes. If that's too much, we have a certificate program in business analytics, and so you can sign up for the certificate program and take classes in that. And then if all of that, you don't want to sit through a class for a whole semester or multiple classes, well then right there at the Center for Business Analytics website, hey, how about an afternoon or a day or two, and you can skill up. And so we really have it available. You could start and see if you like it. You can skill up at your pace or at whatever level you want to do that.
Yeah, October 30th. It should be a good time. This will be the third time I think you've taught it, or do I get that right?
I think that's right. We did some private trainings for the same topic as well. So yeah, it's probably 6 or 7 at this point.
Yeah. One of the other areas that we provide as we work with our members, and it's an interesting point around moving to, and you touched on it before, where AI and analytics is going to go. It's no longer the domain of data scientists, right? It's going into the multifunctional elements of marketing and economics and engineering and different areas of expertise. What we're doing here is we're within the Center for Business Analytics we're starting up something called an Analytics Fellow Program. And it's relevant to students, and we're going to be bridging the gap between academic research and industry practice. It's something that we've really pushed out over the last 12 years, and it always comes up in different flavors. But this is where we're going to have we're going to sign up a number of faculty across the university, not only within the analytics department, but in the in other multifunctional areas that I spoke about, and they're going to be involved in projects. They're going to be involved in something called a community of practice, and that's going to be meeting to talk about their research, the application of it, and then we're going to have that interdisciplinary collaboration. I'll bet you I have half the members that we work with to say, geez, I really want the project to be, any projects that they work with to have a component about how should I apply it. So this is, I think this is going to be an exciting initiative, and we've just engaged our first couple of faculty to be able to go into that.
I think the members of the center are public knowledge, but just for folks, those are the largest companies in Cincinnati are part of that, but it's also not just big companies. People, there's medium-sized and smaller companies on there as well. And what I think is interesting is they're all at different points in their analytical and AI journeys, right? And so we try to meet them where they are, but I think what is interesting about this program is that we can integrate some of that together with the faculty.
Well, and we really try to have a diverse group there, not only from size and expertise and where they are in their journey. I just met with a specialty chemical company the other day who is looking at just starting out in their analytics journey, but also across industries. So the healthcare industry learns from the finance industry, and that comes into the multidiscipline as well, to be able to learn from each other. And this community, which is what we create, being more than just a transactional element. It's great to sit here in the first week of classes as we come back into the university after having the summer of this building being empty. And for those people that don't know, we're in the podcast studio in the Lindner College of Business. And as we look out, seeing some of our 6,000 students that we have in the college, and recently announced that we just grew the university by another 2.1% to 52,000 this year. So it is an exciting time at the university. It always is every single year, just as an exciting time within the analytics and AI business community.
My thanks to Tim Cholvat and Jeff Shaffer for a thoughtful discussion surrounding the Center for Business Analytics. Remember, the 2024 Data Science Symposium will be held Friday, October 11th at Lindner Hall. To register, visit business.uc.edu/analytics-events or click the link in this episode's bio. One more thing, Bearcats Mean Business is now on Apple Podcasts. Please subscribe, rate, and review. Thanks for tuning in. Go Bearcats.